Hello, welcome to tSN Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. This is an event report from the event that I have just run just minutes ago at the tSN Arena here in Nottingham. This was a 2-day, 5-round Age of Sigmar match play event using all the normal rules that you would usually use at one of these sorts of events. Now, I have made a previous video talking about the list before the event popped off, but this is just kind of my insights and thoughts about Age of Sigmar, events, running events, and kind of my experiences from this weekend. I'm going to try and make a video every single time I run an event, which is pretty much every weekend. So let me know what kind of things you'd like me to include in future video. So going into this event, we had 16 people. We only have a capacity for 24 people, which actually, as I've said many times, I'm pretty happy about. I wouldn't want ever more than 32 players at an event, because what we really like to do is run it like with a really family atmosphere. We do free drinks. We go out for dinner on the Saturday night, which was super fun. And luckily for this event, because it was Halloween, I was able to organize a pagan festival to happen across the road. Although obviously I didn't actually organize it, which is pretty fun. But there was a pagan festival over. We have this really fun market across from the arena where they run a bunch of different festivals every year. Sometimes there's beer festivals. There's also loads of great places for food. Like there's a cheese grill place and what we in England would call a greasy spoon, which is where you can just get a big plate of food, which is super nice. So anyway, that was a fun time. And we all popped over there during one of the lunches to go and check out all of the cool stuff, which was cool. Talking about the actual tournament though, this is an event that's happened just after these new monthly kind of like very targeted FAQs, and it only affected a couple of the players at the event. A special shout out to Josh Bunning, who was running the only Lumineth army this weekend. His army was directly affected by those balance updates. If you don't remember exactly what happened, in the FAQ update, they made it so that the Hurricane battle formation for Lumineth Realm Lords, instead of being able to move 3 units, their full movement value in the shooting phase, changed to only being able to move 2d6. I asked Josh to keep track of these results over the course of the weekend, and I think the very first time he rolled it, he rolled double 1, which made me laugh. But he had a really good run over the weekend, still going 4-1 with the list. And I did speak to him and I said, Josh, how do you feel about the army? And he said, yeah, it's a little bit more fragile. In one situation, what's going to happen is going to be a turn where your opponent is actually going to be able to get you. And it's on them to be able to try and hunt down your units in that particular turn. Otherwise, you can always play evasion, you can always be wide, and you can always kind of avoid what's happening. His major problem, or where he came unstuck, was against our winner, and one of the more popular armies that we had over the weekend in Slaves to Darkness. We had 3 people playing Slaves to Darkness this weekend, including our winner. Now, if you've watched any of the stat shows or some of the other shows that I do, you will have seen me talking a lot about Fight Twice being a real problem. And it did really seem like this weekend that especially those Fight Twice units like Varangard were just so impactful. It's really interesting seeing the difference between David, who was our Slanesh player, and his very fragile, very low armor save army, and just the sheer powerhouses of the high armor save Slaves to Darkness. Multiple times I would go over to the Slaves to Darkness tables and they would have absolutely tabled a unit or maybe even an army. Whereas in the Slanesh case, they seem to be trying to reduce the number of attacks that would be coming into their army as their kind of defensive situation, with David's list where he was running Glutos and he was running all the Painbringers. Or the Twin Souls. I can't remember which one. I think it's the Twin Souls. Now, that's not to take anything away from the performances of the people running Slaves to Darkness. I just think if you are going to an event, it's something you're going to have to be prepared for. You're going to have very fast, very engaging, very, very impactful high armor save units in the Slaves to Darkness forces. Specifically, obviously, Varangard and Chosen. A special shout out to Ed's a cutie pie. Ed this weekend, who was running the Coven of Thrix in his Slaves to Darkness list. And I think that looked like it was a more engaging game for at least him and his opponent, as opposed to just running those absolutely killer units in the Varangard and the Chosen. Although, obviously, zero problem with running them, but I just think that seemed like a more engaging kind of play style, I guess. Although killing everything is a really fun and engaging play style. A coolest army for the weekend was this absolutely fantastic Karajan Overlords army produced by Andy Bunning. Not only did Andy run an incredibly offensive amount of Thunderers in his Karajan Overlords army, he won Coolest Army, which is player voted at the arena events, and also won Best Sports as a double, which is an amazing achievement. But both him and his son Josh are just both wonderful people, and I really enjoy having them come to my events, especially as Andy is just like this big, tall lad, always towering over his son Josh. But, you know, they're both adults. That's a weird thing to say. The reason I say they're both adults, because it's important. Josh is a grown adult man, Andy's a grown adult man, and the next father and son combination that we're going to talk about is Orpheus, who is our winner from the event, his first ever 5-0 at a GT, and his father, Thomas, who is obviously a big grown adult. As I said in the previous video, when we were reviewing the list, we have a kids or under 16s kind of play for free policy as long as they can play and compete. And a couple of times, Orpheus has been to the venue and has already done really, really well, as well as at other events. Also, Natty, who has played at our venue several times, is now in the Welsh national squad. So it does feel like we have a Natty and Orpheus battle that has to happen at some point, because both of them are very young. I think Natty is 12. I think they might both be 13. Orpheus did not win, though, because people were letting him win. He crushed 5 different people, including round 4, where he beat his father, which is pretty fun. I want to throw a special shout out to Thomas in this video. I think Orpheus should be really proud of himself, and we talked about it, and everyone gave him a big round of applause, and it was really great. And also kind of a special moment for me in my wargaming history to watch a young person be able to win an award and win an event just on their own merit, which is incredible. You know, and all of the skills and life lessons that that young person is going to learn in the future, being able to play at events with a bunch of adults and just being this great human being. But I think also, you know, Thomas deserves an absolutely huge amount of credit for being able to, obviously raise a child that can do something like that, but also, you know, attend events with his son, like, you know, for over a couple of weekends and make it so that, you know, a young person can go out there and pursue their passions. And I think this is actually just a really beautiful moment in wargaming for me to have experienced and to see dads and other people, like, you know, parents generally, be able to, like, you know, support their kids and help them be at events and, you know, watch them like grow and flourish. And I think that's actually a really beautiful moment. And that's kind of the reason I run events. It's one of the reasons I go to events. And I know everyone in the room was over the moon for Orpheus, his dad, and also generally the community watching all these people play. If we take a quick look at Orpheus' list, we can see he was running a Slaves to Darkness God's Wrath Warband army. His manifestation law was the Morbid Conjuration. He had Bellicor, a reinforced unit of Chaos Chosen with the Mark of Khorne, a unit of Chaos Furies, a unit of Dark Oath Fell Riders, and a reinforced unit of Varangard with the Mark of Khorne. And then his last regiment, or his next regiment, was the Chaos Sorcerer Lord with the Mark of Tzeentch, the Infernal Puppet, and the Radiance of Dark Glory. This is definitely a great list. Varangard and Chosen and the ability to fight twice are phenomenal. And Bellicor, as I've said many times, is the best war scroll in Age of Sigmar, in my opinion, obviously. You know, take that with a pinch of salt. But it doesn't matter how good a list is. Many people play Slaves to Darkness, and not everyone 5-0s. So Orpheus should be really proud of himself, and I know for a fact I'm proud of him. A special shout out to Josh and James Evans for also doing really well at the event and going 4-1. And also a special shout out to Greg for winning the True Legend Award for running his 4 Bloodthirsters around, which he went 3-2, which he went 2-3 at the event. I agree. But I personally think that 4 Bloodthirsters is a 3-2-4-1 army, and you can't have more fun than doing that. So I would encourage you, and just to read out his list for you to see what it was, I would encourage you to play with this list because it's so cool. He's running the Murder Host Battle Regiment. He has a Slaughter Priest. He had 2 Bloodthirster and Sense of Rage, 1 of Unfettered Fury, and a Wrath of Khorne Bloodthirster. I personally think this list is maybe one of the most fun lists in Age of Sigmar 4 right now, and you should go out there and play it. And I know that everyone who played against it, even if they beat it, were sweating, and they were saying that this was a really tough battle to play. So I think that's something to be conscious of, and maybe go out there and have some fun with that list. Normally, I do interviews in these videos. I forgot to do them. I'm an idiot. Everyone left. I did the awards and that all got sorted. But I want to thank everyone for coming to the event, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'll make sure at next week's event, which I have also at the tSN Arena, I will interview a bunch of the people. So let me know what questions you'd like to ask. But I'm hoping these videos help you see that events aren't scary. They're super fun. There's also some really, beautiful moments and stories that come out of events like this, you know, which are maybe not life-changing, but maybe, you know, one of them like key moments in your mind or your memory, which I think will be really sweet. And for some people, they're just the thing they're doing at the weekend to blow off steam and have a good time. So I hope you have enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.